As a Christian, I get on my knees every day and thank God for the fact that there are these people known as Muslims, because right now, as a group, as a culture, they are the only ones standing up against the beast. And with that, I am going to introduce my very good friend, Hesham Tillawi of Current Issues TV. He has a weekly television show that airs out of Lafayette, Louisiana. It is a dynamite program. You owe it to yourselves and to everyone you know to tune in and listen to what our good friend has to say. Thank you.
You know, I'm really amazed that you guys are still up. I thought we will be speaking to probably about 15, 20 of you, but I'm really amazed that all of you still here. I want to start by thanking the American Free Press, especially Mr. Carto. And I want to welcome the American insurgency movement here. It is really great to see people who want to take the country back. And I was hoping to see more young people here, but hopefully in the coming years we will see a lot more younger people, because there is a reason why they're not here with us, because they are being programmed, and they are being every time they turn around, they are programming them to basically, don't worry about the country, it's in good hands, you just go ahead, have fun, and do whatever you got to do. The war in Lebanon, I guess it's over. I don't know if it's over or not, but everybody, the Israeli ambassador started saying this is World War III, and then his good friend John Hagee, which I'm sure probably most of you know who he is, he's a Christian Zionist, or they call him the Christian right, I call him the Christian wrong. And they thought, they started packing up, and they were thinking, I don't want to offend anyone here if you believe in rapturing, but they started packing their packs, and they thought that World War III was coming, because our Congress was basically singing the same song as the Israelis, that, it's the end of time was almost here, this is World War III, we're going to see nukes going all over the place, and a lot of people believed it. Even Jesus came down halfway and had to go back when France and the United States reached a ceasefire agreement. France and the United States? I thought it was Lebanon and Israel fighting. I thought Israel attacked. But no, they said France and the United States reached a ceasefire agreement. There's a little story that I want to tell you that you did not hear about this ceasefire. Of course, at first the Israelis were saying no to ceasefire, and then all of a sudden they said yes to ceasefire. Well, there's a little story behind that. And of course, they also accepted the 7 points that the Lebanese Prime Minister said it needed to be in the agreement in the UN Security Council Resolution 1701. About 100 Israeli soldiers went into a Lebanese army compound, and they took over it. They were looking for, they said, we're looking for Hezbollah fighters and Hezbollah weapons. Of course, there was no Hezbollah fighters or Hezbollah weapons, and they were leaving. While they were leaving, actually, Hezbollah was waiting for them outside, and a fight broke out, and the Israelis had to retreat to the army compound. Well, there were two choices for the Israelis at that time: either die, 100 of them at one time, or be captured or kidnapped. It depends on how you like to think about that. And because Lebanese kidnapped Israeli soldiers. How do you kidnap a soldier? You capture a soldier. But anyhow, well, there was a choice: either be taken prisoners or be killed. Just imagine if the news came out that 100 Israeli soldiers were captured by Lebanese Hezbollah. Wow, that would have been a disaster for everybody. So they decided yes to the ceasefire. We want the ceasefire, and actually they asked for the ceasefire. Well, a couple of days after the war started, actually, Nasrullah called Olmert, and he said, look, we're going to beat the crap out of you. And he said, Olmert said, well, what do you have? He said, well, I got, how many men you had? I said, well, Hassan Nasrullah said, I have me, my cousin Mustafa, my neighbor Muhammad, and he goes, that's all? He said, yeah. He said, well, how many you have? He said, well, I have a 1,000,000-man army here. Hassan Nasrullah said, oh, we need an immediate ceasefire here. Olmert said, why? I thought you were going to beat the crap out of me. He said, well, yeah, but we can't afford to feed 1 million prisoners. So anyhow, see, in the Middle East, we like to do things opposite from the West. You write from left to right, we write from right to left. We even happen to read from right to left, too. But we like to call things different than you do. Like, when we capture, we say kidnap. Well, the news media here thinks that maybe we understand kidnap better. The Israeli army arrests Palestinians. And to you, when you hear the word arrest, you think, they must have done something wrong. Yeah. They don't say, now, arrest, what jurisdiction does Israel have over the Palestinians? It's an occupied area. There's no, you cannot arrest, you are kidnapping Palestinians. See, I'm here to teach you English. Just remember those two words, arrest and kidnap, and you will pass every test you're going to come across on that TV. Anytime they say Israelis arrested, just say, kidnap. Anytime they say Palestine, you know what? We only have one soldier. On a tank, he was the gunner. On a tank, we got one soldier, and they have 10,000 of Palestinians that they kidnapped. They went at 2 o'clock in the morning to these people's houses. They sent killer dogs, drags the person out of his bedroom. And by the way, Palestinians, we don't have the big, huge villas and the big houses. Normally in a bedroom you might have about 8 or 9 children sleeping with their mom and dad. So imagine 2 or 3 killer dogs going, and this is, I am not exaggerating, ladies and gentlemen, this goes on in Palestine. They send these killer dogs, it drags people out because they are too coward to go inside. And they kidnap these people, and people until now for years and years and years, people don't even know what they are in jail for. That's what's going on in Palestine. That's what the world does not see. And then they say, suicide bombers. I wanted to register for suicide bombers, but when I got there, they said there were no more virgins left, so I said, I'm out of here. You hear these things, and right away, I bet you right away, how many suicide bombers have been since the start of the Intifada, since 2000 until now? But everybody in the world knows about suicide bombers. Everybody knows. You think in your own mind that Palestinians, they're just, all they want to do is, I want to grow up and be a suicide bomber, Let me tell you just a little story about a suicide bomber. And by the way, there were women suicide bombers. And this young woman, she was a lawyer, and what she has done, what the Israelis have done, her brother was getting married, so she goes to Jordan trying to get some stuff for the wedding. In the meantime, she gets a phone call saying that the Israelis killed, you need to come back, it's not going to be a wedding because the Israelis killed your brother and your fiancé. She goes directly from Jordan to the morgue, and she sees her fiancé and her brother in the morgue. After that, she did not speak for a whole week. And then she woke up one morning. This is her mother's story. She said that she woke up one morning, took a shower, and was ready to go to work. In the evening, the news came out that she was a suicide bomber in Jerusalem. And you look at these suicide bombers and you think, these people are so vicious. The Palestinian people are so vicious. The Palestinian people live within walls. The pogroms of Europe is in Palestine now. The Israeli apartheid wall is in Palestine right now. Around every city, I went there and I have done a documentary on this. The whole city will be surrounded by a wall with only one gate. And you need a permission. You have to have a reason to why are you going in and out of that city. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if you live under those circumstances. The Palestinian employees, even government employees, have not received their wages in like 3 months. People are living without work. They have closed in the Palestinian territories completely. People are starving in Palestine. People are dying in Palestine. Kofi Annan he went there last week and he demanded that the Palestinians release the Israeli soldier. But he didn't tell the Israelis, what about these 10,000 Palestinians that you have? When he got there, the Israelis killed 5 Palestinians. The next day when he was leaving, they killed 14 Palestinians. He didn't ask them. But he had the audacity to go to Iran and tell them that the Holocaust was an undeniable fact. What about the Holocaust that you witnessed when you were in Palestine? Yeah. That is not a Holocaust. We did not have the news media and the internet that we have now back during World War II to see what was going on. That's why they were able to lie to us about what happened in World War II and destroy a whole heritage. What was Germany before World War II?
Great.
What is Germany now? Just a Holocaust? Is that the history of Germany? Just a Holocaust? Is that the whole thing that happened? What about the scientists? What about the philosophers? Where did all these people go? And he had the audacity to go and say the Holocaust is an undeniable fact. Well, now we have the internet. We are witnessing a Holocaust happening in front of our eyes, and we're not doing anything about it. What about this Holocaust? That you can't tell me. This I can tell you how many were killed by the Israelis. I can number them. They have names. When an Israeli died, they go and visit his family. Kofi Annan went and visited the families of those soldiers who are held by the Palestinians and by Hizbullah. Did he go to visit any of the Palestinians, the 10,000 Palestinians who are held by the Israelis? No, he did not. But he did go and visit the Israeli families. Why? Why are we witnessing this and we're not doing anything about it? What can we do about it? Nothing. Because we live in America. I am a Palestinian American. I came from a country that is occupied by Israel to the land of the free and the brave. Turned out to be occupied by Israel too. You know what? We are in a much better shape over there. At least we know the enemy. We can see him. We know how he looks like. We know how the gun he has looks like. But you have no clue how the enemy here looks like. See, we know him. He shoots at us. And he has the Star of David. So we know who he is. But you don't know. I'm going to, I have a lot. Oh, someone's calling me. Great. They're probably telling me, okay, you want too much. Okay, I'm going to close by telling you a little story. And this story, after that, I'm going to introduce my friend David twice here. But he has really a lot to do with this story. In the early 90s, you see, when you grow up, you know who the enemy is, so you have like a hatred for Jews, you know? I mean, who would have hatred for Jews now? Come on. But I did. I really did. And one day I was coming back from Tel Aviv. We stopped in Amsterdam, and when I got there was like 2 hours wait time. So I get out, and I'm sitting there by the gate, and there was this guy that looks like David Weiss. Now, I'm not used to really seeing Jews with these black robes and hats. And now the guy didn't have his hat on, but he did have the hair, and I was sitting there like, I hated him. I really did. I hated him. And it's like, you know, if hate kills, that guy would have been dead. And I'm sitting there like, going through my mind, look at you with them clothes on, and look how you look, and all this stuff. Believe it or not, this guy that I hated, he turned out to be sitting right next to me on the plane. I was like, oh God, how could it be? I mean, where's the lottery? So I said, okay. So I went, I sat down, And you know, you have to share that arm rest. But I tell you what, it's like I sat down and, yeah, let me see you talk now. You know, I want you to, you know, it's like, he didn't say anything. He was very nice. He was short. I mean, he was like probably like 4 feet. But he wasn't, well, anyhow. And then he talked. Now, at that time, I mean, we still were like in the plane. And then he started the conversation with me. He asked me where I was from. And I said, Palestine. I thought he would say, oh, you mean Israel? Because a lot of times you say Palestine, they say, oh, you mean Israel? But he said, oh, really? Great. And he started talking about Israel. And I'm looking at him like, what's wrong with you? You're a Jew. You can't be talking about Israel in a bad way, in a negative way. I mean, he was going, it's not supposed to be there. Israel is against Judaism. And I'm looking, are you going to a custom party or something? Because you're, you know, you're not supposed to be talking like that. But you know what? That wasn't educational. I didn't really say that I hated Jews. But this guy really taught me something. That don't hate a group of people, period. Right. Hate those that you know specific, that they did something and pinpoint it and say, you did this. But don't hate all Jews, all Muslims, all Christians. It's ignorant. I was ignorant at one time, and that little rabbi have taught me a lot. And since then, I have met David Weiss a few years back. He's been on my show a couple of times, and it's like, you know what? There are Jews out there who are against Israel, that we really need to talk to them. But I really have a problem with Jews in general, because a lot of Jews will say, well, no, we don't agree with what Israel is doing. Then talk. Do something. If you don't agree with what Israel is doing, do something. But when I see the statistics that 85 or 90% of Jews in the United States are for Israel, then I say, you know what? I really can't help it, but I have to generalize and say Jews and whenever I talk. Now, I don't mean all Jews, but I cannot say, because they have hijacked the religion. And when I say Jews, it's the idea of Jews, because we have some Christian Zionists who think they're Jews. Anyhow, I know I went over my time, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And at this time, I would like to introduce my friend, David Weiss.